Want to know what's going on in Hollywood? Coming up next, Tinseltown Talkies.
Hey everyone, welcome to TinselTown Talkies. It is Thursday. Oh my God, it's the first week of December. I'd like for Pimo to return back to Earth.
Huh? Aren't we on this USS Enterprise?
No.
Oh. Darn. Darn.
Those go on your head and your ears, not your eyes.
Oh, well, whatever. I was doing a little Star Trek thing, but whatever.
Pimo, can you believe we're in December already? I mean, this year is just, it's flown.
First of all, how was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was good. I had
Yeah,
my
it's our
vegetarian
first show back.
Thanksgiving.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I know.
Yeah,
I
welcome back.
know.
Welcome back.
You too. How was
And
yours?
It was mellow. I got to relax, literally. I spent the whole 4 or 5 days doing nothing.
Good. We need that sometimes.
Yes, so I needed that more than anything.
Well, it's been a pretty crazy week.
Yeah, it's been it started off last weekend with the passing. It got a passing today, and so I just want to give a shout out to the Mandela family and
Yes.
condolences.
Lost a great gift
Yes,
to this world, to this earth.
I will
Nelson Mandela.
I'll still never forget the day he was released from jail. I remember watching that on television.
Oh
It
my
was a
gosh,
big day.
it's like history being made for
Yep,
all of us,
yep.
you know?
And I just there was an interesting. It was in the Onion today, and Onion's a parody site publication, but they actually ran a story on Nelson, and it was one of those parodies that actually made sense.
What was
The
it?
first politician who was actually missed.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was the headline. Which it's a parody, but it also makes sense. I mean, he's the one guy. You're like, post Martin Luther King, post Gandhi, post all those people. Who's the one guy we could say was the most memorable activist of our lifetime?
Nelson
It's
Mandela.
him. Yeah.
I think today it's interesting because the whole world is mourning him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm
Wow.
even seeing my 14-year-old nephew who has no idea who this guy's life was. He was not born when.
That's so interesting that you mentioned that. There's a generation of people out there who probably don't even realize what a significant difference he made in the world.
I know, and even those people are yearning and missing this great man. It shows the impact he had. That even people who had no idea of the life he lived, they weren't alive when he was doing his thing.
Right, right.
They're still missing him. So that's the impact this man had.
Oh, he's 95 years old. He lived a pretty fulfilling life, I'd say.
His legacy transcends humanity.
Oh, absolutely,
So
absolutely. I think he's going to live on for a very long time. With
he
a lot
is.
of us.
He is. So may he rest in peace,
Yep.
and in his new world, wherever that world is, may he be happy and smiling upon us all.
Knowing that he made a difference
Exactly.
for many, many,
Exactly.
many.
So talk about another sad story.
Oh my God, it's so depressing.
I know it's crazy because we're supposed to be this happy-go-lucky. Hey, what's up, Hollywood? And here we are talking about now.
Well, Hollywood lost a pretty
It lost one-
hunkalicious guy.
he lost a cool guy. I'm not gonna call him Hunkalicious. I mean, I get the whole Mickey Blue Eyes thing. I get it.
Paul Walker. I think
Yeah.
we've got some great pictures of him. So I'm pretty sure all of you have heard. God, his eyes are so tantalizing.
Yeah. Okay.
He passed away, unfortunately, in a very fatal car crash this past weekend.
And it's one of those odd.
Look at this.
Odd,
I mean, it's just horrible.
and it's personally for me, I have two personal connections to this. That side of the car crash is not too far from the start of my journalism career, of all things.
Oh,
And that was probably a couple miles away from a newspaper I used to work at, just a couple blocks away from there.
wow.
And the person who wrote the article, the breaking news story for that paper, when that accident happened last weekend, was the guy I used to work with.
Interesting.
So, and a friend of mine actually sent me an email with that article, and I'm reading the byline. It's my buddy writing, and this is a guy I worked with when I was at the newspaper. So, there's that one connection, and then of course the movie that made him famous, The Fast and Furious. That takes me back to my high school days, because I went to a high school that everybody had rice rockets. Everybody had those Civics and Integras.
Were you racing too?
I never raced myself, but I actually was in cars that did race.
Oh, wow.
So so I knew that life from the get go. So watching him and watching the films was kind of reminiscent of my high school days.
It's just so sad.
It is.
You know, 40 years old, I feel like his life was just cut short. And again, like I said, probably most of you have read this, but, you know, he was in his friend. They were racing. Well, they weren't really racing. He was speeding, basically.
It was a speeding issue, and no, I mean, it's speculation to say he was racing, so we're not sure exactly. I don't know what happened. I mean, maybe it was an issue of speeding versus racing. I don't know.
But apparently they were speeding,
but,
and the car hit a tree,
yeah.
and just it burst out into flames.
And what's sad is that he was actually this happened in the context of a fundraiser. I mean, he was taking part in a charity fundraiser.
He had left the fundraiser, right?
Yeah,
On the way back.
so it's like he's doing good, and this is kind of like
this is how it all ends and goes down.
You know, and let's also be fair that he's not. You know, there was another driver that passed away as well. So
absolutely, a good friend of his.
Yeah, so you know, it's pretty sad to see 2 lives gone, 2 very young lives that they
and
didn't,
2 people actually that loved
cars.
Yeah,
they loved exotic sports cars, and which made Paul Walker very fitting. Fit
for his character.
For his character. So of course,
his character Brian.
Mm-hmm.
I have to tell you though, when you look at this picture, especially that we have up, I mean, I just keep thinking of all the scenes in Fast and Furious, and he was just so perfect.
He was geared for the role. He fit the role, and it's funny because like I've actually read, and without naming names, there are Facebook friends of mine who said they weren't big fans of him as an actor. I mean, they were saddened to see him gone, but they weren't fans of his acting career because the knock on him was beyond Fast and Furious, he had really nothing going for him. I mean, that was always that when he in his acting days. That's exactly what the knock was.
He did a couple of other films.
Well, it's interesting. He actually got this from you. You were telling me earlier from the
so,
Skulls.
Well, yes. So he did Skulls in 1999, and that's when he was working with Rob Cohen.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because at that time he happened to mention to Rob that he wants to either be in a car racing movie or play an undercover cop.
Yeah.
And it's almost like his wish was granted because in 2001, when Cohen was working on Fast and Furious, that's the role that was offered to him of Brian.
Yeah, and you know what's so interesting about him in the Fast and Furious, especially in the first one. I mean, he really grew into the role by the time he came to number 6. But in the first one, he kind of played the out of place white boy because, here is a culture where it's dominated. I mean, it's not gearing toward, it's not specific to any one ethnicity, but you see a lot of Asians doing this. You see a lot of Hispanics. It's you always see, it's always very minority oriented when you see a lot of these races going on. And there's a scene particularly where he's racing early in the film where he's racing Vin Diesel, and he just kind of walks up as goofy white boy like, yeah, I won, when he really lost, right? It's like, I won respect, and it's just very indicative of awkwardness sometimes certain people have because of their image. And I think he
beat that out.
He beat that out because he grew from this awkward, lanky white boy who had great-looking eyes to a guy who actually, like you said, fit the role.
Fit the role, yeah.
Like you can no longer disassociate the film from him.
But you know what's interesting? I think what I've always been fascinated about Paul Walker is that he's almost an enigma in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. He's not that person that you're going to see who's racing for the red carpet limelight. Mm-hmm. And I think what's interesting is that some people even thought, because he never wanted to be out there, and they thought, oh, maybe he was just this good-looking guy, but really was kind of not all there. And I think that really is a misconception because he was a very smart guy. I mean, there's a lot of things that he was interested in. I don't know how much people know, but this guy loved marine biology.
Yeah, I know, crazy, right?
A huge Cousteau fan. Loved it. Loved being in the water. I think he actually had done a film too.
Into the Blue or In the Blue.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's also a surfer. Mm-hmm. So very active with that, and just was very athletic and enjoyed being out there outside of speed racing.
Right.
And for people who don't know, he actually created this charity called Reach Out Worldwide, and basically he felt that there was a need for fast action first responders who could just cut through the red tape and get there to help people. Mm-hmm. So in 2010, he actually went to Haiti himself to help people, and he created this organization.
Right, and it's interesting, he creates this organization, of course,
to help people,
and then he has this accident where he needs a first responder to come to him.
Yeah.
Kind of weird how the world comes full circle like that. And did you hear what happened in Puerto Rico and during San Juan?
Yeah, I heard there was some chaos or something.
This happened, a day. Yep, this was a couple days after, maybe 3 days after his passing. There was a series of traffic jams in San Juan because there was a caravan. It was we're talking triple digits of drivers here that created a caravan in honor of Paul Walker. Created a lot of traffic jams. Police down there said they'd issued at least 72 speeding tickets and detained 6 people for drunk driving in relation to all this.
Look at this.
And if for those who didn't know, Fast 5 was actually
It was filmed
Walker
out
was
there.
down. Walker was down in San Juan for Fast 5. So a little connection there with that. And speaking of now other films that he's been in, some of the films that he did beyond the Fast series are now being deliberated to whether to film or not. There's Hours, which is supposed to be coming out very soon, this week or next, and it's about Hurricane Katrina. So again, speaking about bureaucracy and first responders, you have a Hurricane Katrina coming out, and then there's another film called Brick Mansions, which actually
Did
is a
he
high.
complete those?
I believe Brick Mansions was not complete.
Well, because it's interesting now with Fast and Furious 7, there were all these talks about what's going to happen, but I understand that it's actually being put on hold. So we don't know if it's going to make the release date of next summer, right?
Well, and I think the release date was in May. It's upcoming Memorial Day. It's always been July 11th.
July.
That's when they want to make it now. Is a July release, but it is on hiatus. Doesn't mean the film's off. It just means they're taking time off to kind of, I guess, recalibrate.
Right.
Because they've done most of the film, but they're not. I haven't read or heard how much of it was done, so I don't know if the ending's been completed already or how it's going to parlay into.
Well, then
Fast
you've
8.
got to take into consideration you've got this huge branding with this, with these actors, and it's kind of a delicate situation. I mean, this movie has a huge fan following. The characters all have a huge fan following, so it's like, where do you go, and then how do you still brand it and put it out there for the audiences without kind of offending or.
I mean, the only precedent for this is there was one Fast film that did not star Paul Walker, and that was Tokyo Drift, the third one. Paul Walker was on that film, and that film did okay. So the hope is he could probably replicate Tokyo Drift, the third one,
We'll
and
have to see what they end up doing.
So we'll see what the creativity is.
Well, I'd love to hear from people out there. So if you'd like to share your thoughts on Paul Walker, you can call us at 1-855-969-7268. You are listening to Tinseltown Talkies on Rant Radio Network.
We'll talk
and
more
we're going
about
to talk
Paul.
more about Paul Walker. We've got some Bollywood stuff happening, some Gap stuff, all when we come back after this short break.
And don't forget to call us to talk about Paul Walker.
That's
I'd love to hear from you. We'll talk to you in a few, yeah?
A home is the biggest investment in most people's lives. Buying or selling should be a positive experience.
Whether you want to be a wealthy real estate investor or just trying to find a place to call home. At AJR & Associates, we focus on the client's needs.
We understand the market better than most. Let us bring the value to you and make the right choice.
AJR & Associates, making your dream house a reality. Call us today for a free consultation at 562-882-1976. Or you can log on to www.hrrealtors.com.
With a track record of great results, bringing knowledge, wisdom, and expertise to you. Hablamos español.
Are you watching the game at home? Why? Come watch it at Mambo Grill, the hottest spot in Downey. You'll have good food, drinks, and a great time at a low price. We have the coldest beer in our sports bar, where you can enjoy the game on any of our huge flat screen TVs. And when your home team wins, you get 25% off anything in Mambo Grill. We're on Downey Avenue, 1 block north of Firestone, or visit us on the web. Mambo Grill, love at first bite.
Looking for a delicious, fresh family meal that's ready when you are and easy on your budget? Welcome to Piara Pizza. We make our pizzas with handmade dough, 100% real cheese, and tomato sauce blended with our own spices. Nothing is ever frozen. We always have large pepperoni and cheese pizzas fresh and waiting for you for only $5. Or choose one of our specialty pizzas. We have veggie, meat lovers, supreme, and Hawaiian. Add an order of our amazing hot wings, cheesy bread, or breadsticks. Our locations are ultra-modern, ultra-clean, and open 7 days a week. Visit any one of our locations today, or check us out on the web at www.piarapizza.com. Piara Pizza. Fresh, hot, and ready for you when you come in. Stop in for your Piara Pizza today.
Been in an accident? Then you need your vehicle professionally repaired. That's exactly what you get when you bring your vehicle to Greg's Auto Body Repair. 3 quotes within minutes. We will provide everything you need for a hassle-free auto body repair, from an accurate estimate to working with your insurance company. We will get your vehicle to its pre-accident condition as soon as possible. Greg's Auto Body has been serving Los Angeles County and local cities since 1970. Call us at 562-789-1300.
Welcome back to TinselTown Talkies on the Rant Radio Network. And helping us out today in the control room is our man, Julio.
Hello, Julio.
Shout out to him.
What up, bro?
So if you are just joining us, we were talking about the unfortunate
Untimely
death
demise,
of
yes.
Paul Walker. A huge loss, especially to Fast and Furious fans, but just a gem of a person in Hollywood.
And we
One
were
of the
actually-
rare few people.
We were having a very interesting conversation during the break about what happened at the actual scene, about he was supposed to be in the car, and
He wasn't supposed to be in the car.
yeah, and that people had heard him,
Julio was telling us
Yes.
that there were actually some people who
Who
ran
tried to
over
help.
to help
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
and they could hear him from the car. But unfortunately, they weren't able to take him.
well,
out.
this
That's
was on,
just
and this was,
eerie.
and this was on a Sunday. It makes you wonder if this was on a Monday, because this was in
This was on a Saturday.
Saturday, but this was in an industrial area. And, had this happen on a Monday or Tuesday, I mean, there may have been more people there. And who knows if that would have made a difference, but...
Well, the bottom line is, it's like they're saying he wasn't supposed to have that car, and this was not supposed to happen. But at the end of the day, it all did. And
it's fate.
It's just
It's fate, right?
It is fate. I mean, they have
Yeah.
the autopsy report that's been released.
Yeah.
I know they're running toxicology reports still, but the autopsy reports.
It says combined effects of traumatic and thermal injuries. So
Yes.
apparently it was a combination of head trauma and then the heat from the fire.
Yeah, because the car just burst into flames after the wreck.
Yeah. So it's insane. What a way to go out. I mean, it's just not a fair comparison about what I'm about to make. But it's like you have a person like Nelson Mandela who lived 95 years, a full life, went out peacefully, happily, had his family around him, and then you have you go out like this. It's eerie how light. You can't predict how you're gonna go.
No.
So but let's go to
On a positive note, it's great to see how many people are remembering him in a nice light, though.
Yes. I don't think anybody disliked this guy. I mean, everybody that I've seen that has commented on it, even the people who didn't like him as an actor professionally, no one had personal beef with this guy. It's not like a Mel Gibson where like, oh, I can't stand that guy, So there was none of that going on. But and just to give a shout out to the other person who had passed, his name is Roger Rodas. So I don't want to shortchange him
Right.
as well. So, but this raises an interesting question. There was an article that came out, and this is a Fox News article, so take it for a bit of salt. But it poses a very interesting question: is what level of responsibility do action films take for the action they portray? Do you have any thoughts on level of responsibility here?
Okay, so at the end of the day, man, we're going to, and that's I think up on the screen you'll see a picture.
Is this
of
the
Roger?
Roger?
Yes,
Yes.
his
Okay.
friend. Very sad.
Yeah.
Very sad.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were talking about. Okay, Hollywood is here to entertain. Hollywood makes films to entertain. Okay, I don't think there might be a certain small percentage, but I do not think Hollywood should be held accountable because we go to the movies to have a good time, to see things that we can't do in our normal lives, to have different experiences, and so you can't expect the movies to be guiding or judging you.
Right. Now, here's what, in this article, here's what a guy named, and this is playing devil's advocate here.
Okay. Bring it on.
Dan Gaynor, who's the Vice President of Business and Culture at the Media Research Institute. Here's what he said. He said, movies are about fantasy, but they have a real-life impact. The lesson Hollywood should be teaching is to live responsibly, but too few in Hollywood live that way. everything Hollywood does influences our culture.
Okay, so but that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
How are you supposed to have a fantasy, but then you're supposed to have a real life impact? Fantasies are not reality.
Right.
That's the whole reason we go to the
Yeah.
movies is to live these fantasies. And it's funny, I'm going to bring Bollywood in here, but you've got a country of 1 billion people, and you've got this whole sector of people who drive rickshaws and these, autos and all that stuff who can't afford to even have 3 meals a day, but
Yeah.
they can afford to get a ticket to go watch a movie. Why? Because they want to live in this fantasy
takes them
world.
away from the
It
world
takes
they're
them
in,
away.
right.
So
Mhm.
Hollywood movies, I don't think that you can, I don't know, you can't bring the fantasy and then have a real life impact. I think that's contradicting.
Well, and I think this. I mean, I get what Dan Gaynor's saying, but and
I understand his
yeah,
point.
I understand his
agree.
point. But I wonder if his point almost takes away from the responsibility the user, the end user, should have for themselves as well. And to put a point on this, there was a couple of interesting cases that happened on the music end involving Tupac and Ozzy Osbourne. They both had songs out there that influenced, the killing of cops. And a white guy had killed a cop, said he was influenced by Ozzy Osbourne. And a black guy killed a cop, saying he was influenced by Tupac.
Okay.
And in one case, the case that involved the Ozzy song, the defendant was found not guilty, whereas in the Tupac case, the defendant was found guilty. Say what you want to say about the racial implications aside. That also raises a similar point now, where
That
you have,
raises another question.
is like here we are having again entertainers who are advocating glorifying a certain point. And you actually had people who actually executed on these guys' fantasies.
Well, and that's just completely stupid, I think.
But that's what I'm
because
saying. It's about
the songs are not telling you to go out
See,
there
and
do
that
that.
and that's the debate. It's like, and that's exactly what I think. And I agree with you. They're not being instructed to do this. That's why I said there's got to be something.
But it's
about
almost like they're using that as a scapegoat. Like,
Exactly.
oh, well, the
That's
entertainment
exactly what I'm
values
saying.
taught me this, and so it's okay to
That's
go do
exactly
it.
what I'm saying.
So I can see where
that's where I think
people
Gaynor's
like
coming
Gaynor
in.
can, are saying that there is a certain level of influences. It's the same thing with Fast and Furious and the effect or the impact it has when you talk about speed car racing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so what level of responsibility do you give the end user? The person who is driving the car, the person who's pulling the trigger, they have a level of responsibility as well.
But then should you just put a disclaimer at the beginning of all these things?
Well, don't they?
and
They
say-
do, and if you watch the Fast movies, they actually do put
Oh, no,
disclaimers.
they do,
They
yeah.
actually do put disclaimers. The very first thing that pops up before the end credits even come up is a disclaimer. These are like you watch Tokyo Drift. The very first thing after the last scene is the people who did drifting are professional drifters. Do not try this at home.
Well, but on the same point, I think their entertainment attorney Julian Chan, she was quoted saying, "Hollywood does not present the challenges of driving in a realistic manner. It often shows people easily getting out of crashes and rarely shows bystanders being injured."
Right.
Which, of course.
And read what else she says.
But street racing or reckless driving does not seem to be one of the hot topics. Treating reckless driving as something glamorous without consequences encourages people to emulate such behavior off the set. Perhaps now is the time to present the risks of high-speed driving in the same light. Maybe it's just not as sexy as different as guns are for the political climate.
And that's a very interesting viewpoint. And again, it's playing both. To me, it's playing both sides of the argument here. It's like, all right, yes, there is a sexiness to it. But how do you...
There's a certain level, I think, of influential impact.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, there is a certain. But I think you cannot take and blame Hollywood films entirely.
I agree. I 100% agree.
And we cannot expect Hollywood films to be teaching lessons for us. I mean, we
Mm-hmm.
go to other places for education.
Yeah. And now, see, of course, here you and I are, we're no, let's also factor in the demographic of Fast and Furious. I think it's fair to say you or I are not within the 14 to 21 range.
I don't speak for yourself.
Okay, you're 22. Okay, you're 1 year
On
out.
the cusp.
The cusp, yes. But I mean,
Right.
that's another issue to ask is, if
And how
think about-
influential is that target audience?
right? Because
that
remember, like I
demographic?
said at the beginning of the show, I mean, I remember I was a part of this lifestyle when I was 16. I don't have the same maturity then as I have now.
Right.
So when I watch this,
I don't know about that. But
Well, I
okay.
may have went backwards, yes, but that's a whole different story for a different day. But it's you and I could look at this film and say, oh, yes, we know it's fantasy, we know we're being entertained. What about the teenager who's 17 years old, has a car like this, and they see this, they're going to want to try it. I have friends of mine who are in their 30s who want to drift. That's what they want to do, and they look at the glamour of this film, and they're in their 30s.
Wow.
Well,
and then that brings me to another important question, which was also brought up in this article, was that so now they may rethink twice about how they're going to do the marketing of this film. I mean, just post Walker's
Well,
death,
you
of
know,
course.
what's interesting? I don't know. I've watched every film of the series, and one thing that has changed, and this was observed by other people as well, was that the I remember my biggest complaint, and I shouldn't. I looking back, I should not have made this as a complaint. When I watched Fast 5, my complaint was that there wasn't enough car racing.
There wasn't enough.
There was not. That was my.
As it started moving forward, right?
Well, yeah.
Like by the time you got to 7.
No, this is Fast 5. So this is what 2010.
Okay.
When I walked out of the theater at the end of Fast 5, like, this film sucked. There was no car racing. So the whole what I told my friend was the whole point of Fast and Furious is to see car racing.
Right.
And I'm not watching car racing. And now looking back, it's like, well, here I am at 35 years old saying this. So I mean, was that right of me to say that? And looking back now, is that, you know, and now what's being observed is the film franchise is already starting to gear away from being a racing series to like heists, police interaction,
Right.
and so you are seeing a different series now.
Right.
I think
It's
so.
already shifted. 'Cause I think in 6 you see that too. It's already starting to shift.
Yeah, yeah. It was,
We don't see as much.
no,
car
I mean
chasing,
even
racing
if
in
you remember even the opening scene where they showed Paul and Vin's characters racing.
that. Right.
They were racing to see the birth of a baby.
Of a baby. Right.
It wasn't competitive racing.
No.
They would do what anybody would do in the situation.
Right.
Right. So even the climax of that film was on a plane. It wasn't even in a car.
Yeah, that's
right. Yeah. So speaking of influences, there's a TV series right now, miniseries out. This came out last week called Mob City. Now, neither one of us have seen this.
No, I heard of it. I haven't seen it.
We have to give a disclaimer that neither one of us have seen this.
It sounds interesting though.
But let me read you the headline from Hollywood Reporter's review. It says the Mob City is splashy, pulpy, and a loving noir portrait of Los Angeles. Now let's keep in mind that the title is Mob City, right?
In Los Angeles.
And when Los Angeles was run by the mob. So on the same heels of talking about glorifying speed racing, what are your thoughts just in general of glorifying gang life, especially mob life? And we've had several seasons. It's not just this. We've had.
Well, I think that goes back to the
Boardwalk
same
Empire,
issue that we just talked
Sopranos,
about.
Right?
Does that kind of go back to the same
does,
issue we
right?
just talked about? Like, how far do you go to glorify it, and how cool is it? I mean, are we influencing people to join the street gangs?
And it's interesting also. I mean, where's also the honesty of this? Because was this? I mean, if it's one thing, if this never happened. But if you read some nonfiction books, such as L.A. Noire, which is a book set in 1930s and 1940s Los Angeles, when the mob was ruling town, there were some pretty crazy things that if you accurately portray it, it's not glorifying. It's telling the truth.
Right. Well, we're going to have to continue this thought after we come back
Yes, we
from
will.
our second
Yes.
break. Plus, Vivek Oberoi joins us from Mumbai.
Yes,
all in a couple minutes. You are listening to Tinseltown Talkies, only exclusively on Rant Radio Network. And
That's
we still
Rasha.
got, and this is Parimo, and we've got lots more to catch up on.
Yep.
So please don't go away. And don't forget our phone number, 1-855-969-7268. That's 1-855-969-RANT. We want to hear from you.
Do we have your attention? When it comes to tequila, two things matter: heart and passion. Never compromising integrity for mass production. Number one Tequila delivers the goods. Taste the heart and passion of Mexico in every bottle. We make it right. We make it fun. Superior Tequila. There's only number one. There's only number one. There's only number one.
What's wrong?
I can't stop craving a cigarette. I just quit. Hey, what are you smoking on?
Oh, this? Best e-juice on the planet. Burst of flavor, of course.
What's that?
Only the best alternative to smoking with a great flavor. It has a burst of flavor in every puff.
Well, does it have nicotine?
It comes in different levels, including 0. They have 20 flavors and more coming. All the products are made in the U.S. Check them out at www.burstoflavor.com. TinselTownTalkies.com or call them at 855-WE-BURST.
Hey, let's burst together.
It's not just flavor, it's an experience. Cigarettes, you've met your match.
Add some crazy flavor to your vape pen. You're looking for something new and exciting in liquid vapor? Go to Crazy Cloud's e-juice. Find them at burstoflavor.com and try any of the new 12 flavors they have available. Blueberry, mint, raspberry, chocolate, gummy bear, hemp, watermelon, cola, orange, pina colada, coconut, or red bully. Call us today at 855-WE-BURST or visit us at burstoflavor.com and order yours today.
Number one. Number one.
Is that a stutter or as high as you can count?
I was ordering number one tequila.
Everybody's asking for number one.
Great, another fancy bottle.
These guys are true artists. Never compromise integrity. They make tequila
Come
the
on.
old-fashioned way. Never mass-produced.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying have the number one. Anything less is number two. Number one tequila.
We are now being joined by one of Bollywood's super sexy and hottest stars, Vivek Oberoi, who was recently seen in the blockbuster Krish 3. Vivek, thank you for joining us all the way from Mumbai. How are you today?
I'm good, Rasha, and after hearing that introduction, I'm 2 inches taller now.
Well, I mean, I have to say you're a busy man, because I understand even now you are calling us in between a break. You're actually getting ready to shoot something.
That's right. I'm shooting an ad film right now. It's an interesting product for the rainy season next year. So they wanted to shoot with me right now and lock it in so that they're ready for the campaign mid next year.
Oh, well, rainy means romantic, I think, in Mumbai, and we've seen you in a lot of fun romantic scenes too before, right?
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about Krish 3. You play a villain. You've played villains before, I take it, and.
Well, actually, Parimal, small correction there. I play the first Indian supervillain.
Yes.
Okay, supervillain.
And the name is Kal.
Yes, I just like that. I just like that little precursor to it.
Yeah.
Supervillain.
So how much? How much of a super?
It was a.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. I was going to say, how much of a super villain do you have in you?
Rockstar character. Oops, we did that again.
Do it again.
Parimal's very excited.
It was a total rockstar character, and I totally loved it. I mean, for me, the experience was incredible. I was really, really, really nervous before I took on that role because it was a big gamble. For the first time, I mean, having a hero image to go into like a super villain avatar, which was completely dark. It was for me, Kal was like the Prince of Darkness,
right.
And to play that role, and at the same time to do it opposite India's favorite superhero, Krish, and to be sitting, while he dons his cape and mask, to be sitting in a chair with nothing but 2 fingers and facial expressions to kind of match up. It was a tough ride for me.
Right.
Wow.
But what's interesting, Vivek, is that this movie has done so well, and it seems like all the characters have this certain feeling of love that everyone just fell in love with all the characters, whether it's evil or good. How do you think the whole superhero concept is taking off in India?
So before I even answer that, can I just be a kid and just say this?
Yes, please.
It's the biggest blockbuster of all time! Woohoo! I know I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not supposed to sound like a pompous, arrogant beep.
But I mean, it's huge. It's huge. And, a lot of people, by the way, are commending...
It smashed all records. I mean, even the overseas business has smashed all records, and Ritik and I are just so excited. We were celebrating this phenomenal success. I didn't expect it to do so well.
Well, it's done awesome. Now, if you could play another superhero going into another film, who would you want to play, or someone that you've admired growing up?
Superhero.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm a little twisted. Maybe I kind of have always preferred the super villains to the superheroes. You know, I've always been more excited by, say, Jack Nicholson or Heath Ledger. Rather than Batman.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So would you be the next Joker?
So could we see you playing a Joker? You got the laugh.
Yeah, you know.
You got the laugh.
You got the laugh.
Yeah. But that was inadvertent. Yeah, you know, to me, Heath Ledger is a legend, man. I mean, I don't know how many times I saw that film and how influenced I was. I was just so blown with his performance. I thought he was just so incredible. What a range the actor had. I mean, it was just phenomenal. So, yeah, if I get an opportunity like that, I'd, chop off my arm for it.
Nice.
Maybe that's a bit much.
I'm curious to know, Vivek, your outfit the costume you wore in Krish 3, I believe I read somewhere it was 28 kilograms. Does that sometimes hinder you as an actor?
Since you're in America, why don't you just convert that into pounds? It makes it sound a lot more.
Well, okay, so now you're
60 pounds,
now you're
maybe?
dude, now you're embarrassing me because I don't know what the conversion
I think
is.
that's about 65 pounds, 65 pounds, I'd say.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was insanely heavy, and it was partially metal.
Oh wow!
Because we tried getting fabric and stuff like that to look like it, but it just didn't have the structure and the shine.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go with partial metal, and oh man, it was so heavy and it was so hot. I was like, again, another conversion for you. Hold on a second, please. Sorry. Just getting into my trailer.
Oh, no problem.
So I was saying, another conversion for you to do is, it was 49 degrees centigrade, 50 degrees centigrade in Hyderabad when we were shooting in the
That's
summer.
like 120, 130 degrees. Ouch.
Holy cow.
Ouch.
Hey man, Parimal, you're quite the genius, man. You're good with math.
You math me your chat.
That's hot. That's all I can say.
Oh.
Yeah. Pick up.
You just said that on air?
Yes,
Yeah,
that was said on air. Yes.
We say everything on air here. Okay,
There goes his love life.
Yes, I know.
I'm going to cut Parimal off and ask you this. I've also read that you have been noted as by PETA as one of the sexiest vegetarians. Were you aware of this?
Yes, I was kind of embarrassed by that, but it was sweet. It was nice. It was nice to win a title.
So speaking of PETA,
I suddenly feel like I need to have a Miss Universe speech.
I know.
Would you have a crown and everything? Do the hand wave?
And a crown and a hand wave.
and the flying kisses.
Yeah, the flying kisses. Yes. Speaking of PETA, do you have a favorite pet or favorite animal that you're fond of?
Yeah, I mean, I've always grown up with dogs, and they've been a big part of my life. And it was very sad. Last year, I lost both my pets, and they were 14 and 13. And 14 years is like a lifetime, man.
Right.
I mean, it's
I'm not doing the math on that.
Half of my life growing up with, almost half of my life growing up with these guys, and I lost both of them. They were amazing. They were such a huge part of my life.
Right. I wanted to back to Krish for a second. How does this film, considering the great success it's had, does it set a new groundwork for more superhero and supervillain films to kind of enter the Bollywood foray?
I don't know. It's a really difficult genre, and it's something that needs to be tuned in to the Indian mindset. And we've always had such a rich culture, in our mythology of superheroes. Whether we look at, Ram, or we look at Sri Ram, we look at Hanuman. Whether we look at all these phenomenal characters in our mythology or our religious belief systems, we've had, these great superheroes with incredibly human qualities. Somewhere that kind of an adaptation works better, which is why Krish, being Krishna, there is some sort of a resemblance there. There's some sort of an inspiration that's drawn. And I guess if you want to be an Indian superhero, you have to learn how to sing and dance.
Right.
I don't really see Batman doing a number around trees.
No, I don't either.
Wait, so were you doing a song and dance in that big outfit of yours?
No, man. Luckily, no. I'm just so glad Gabbar Singh set the precursor for that.
I know.
And it was like, no, supervillains don't dance. They make other people dance. Yeah.
Vivek, what's your all-time favorite movie, Bollywood movie?
I don't know. There have been some legendary movies, and I think that being such a huge fan of movies, it's difficult to pick up and say, this is one of my all-time, favorite movies. So there are the legendary movies like there's Sholay, there's, Mother India, there's Dobiga Zameen, there's, films like DDLJ, there's films like Three Idiots. So everything across each decade, we've had some incredible movies. We've had Lagan. So we've had very, very different, diverse kind of cinema, and I think it's pretty cool.
Nice. Now,
Company, for example, even though I was a part of it, to me, Company was a huge cult film, a trendsetter.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How about Hollywood? Do you have any favorite American films? Anything stand out for you out here?
Oh, yeah. I'm a big fan of Al Pacino. I'm a big fan of The Godfather. I'm a big fan of Scarface. I've loved that kind of cinema. I loved the first Matrix. I thought it was pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I loved Inception. So I've some incredible movies out there, man.
So you actually spent some time training here in America
New York.
as an actor. Any differences in training here versus India? What are the big stark differences?
Well, actually, I had a kind of a very interesting exposure, the best of both worlds. I trained in India. I did a lot of theater here. I did amateur theater, professional theater. And then after that, I went to New York University. I did my master's there in film. So I studied there for a while. So for me, I had exposure of all the methods, whether it was Stella Adler, whether it was Lee Strasberg, all the ideas behind the craft of acting. Whether it was method, whether it was experiential. So for me, it was a very interesting blend. And somewhere along the way, I think I just found my own rhythm. I just found my own way. I just picked and, put together something that wasn't very strict or very rigid. And it just kind of fell together. It was an incredible experience.
Well, and I want to comment and follow up and say I think that definitely shows. Because when people think Vivek Oberoi, we think of the different characters that you have brought to the screen. And like you said, the challenges of you bringing the villain part out, not a lot of actors are open to that or can definitely bring that part out. We've seen you do that.
That was the exciting part for me because I felt that it would be something so unusual to try. It would be something so kind of... I wanted to be fearless, always as an actor. When I started out, people said, why aren't you doing a conventional film? Why aren't you doing, a film with song and dance routines and designer clothing? And I chose a film like Company, which completely was a contrast to what people thought. In fact, one of our common friends, Neetu, I remember, she was pretty concerned. She was like, why would you, be in, the kind of attire, the kind of clothes you wear, where there are no songs, there's no dancing, and you're such a good dancer and all of that. And that was such a common reaction from everybody. And then when they saw the film, everybody kind of just backtracked and said, you know what, that was brave, that was fearless, that was interesting to see.
And that's
then
what
when
we
I
like to see.
was into the action genre, I kind of jumped right across the spectrum and did Satya. And everybody told me, that was the end of my career. They said that, Satya is going to kill you because you're an action hero and now you're confusing the audience. And then Satya was phenomenally accepted and is still remembered and loved. So, so I think that constantly trying to make fearless choices is important.
Absolutely. And
Krish was a fearless choice.
Audiences like seeing you in different roles and different variations. We have just a little bit time left over here. So I want to talk to you about maybe some of the upcoming projects that you also have lined up that you'd like to share with us.
Zilch, nada, zero.
You got nothing coming up, really?
Nothing coming up. Actually, I kind of taken a conscious decision that, I'm going to see Krish through.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take some really good quality time off to play with my little prince.
I was going to say that. You had a baby boy this year, right?
Yeah. It's been an incredible year. This year's just been, I'm so filled with gratitude for this year. Starting with the biggest gift of all, my son. Vivan Veer Oberoi. He came in this February, and then life has just not been the same. And I have a TV show called India's Best Dramebaz. That's a children's talent show that's done phenomenally well. We just won an award last week reality TV show on television.
Congrats. What network is that running on?
Well, I don't know in America, but it's a Z television show, so I'm pretty sure that it would be running on the Z network in America.
Yes, it runs on Z here too.
But today everybody YouTubes.
That's
stuff,
true. We can find everything online.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with the success of the TV show, and then Grand Masti, which was this completely mad Indian version of American Pie.
Yes.
That did phenomenally well. It broke all records at 112 crores and went into the top 10 grossing films of all time. And
so you've had a great year.
Fish 3. Yeah, I've had a purple patch. It's been a year that I'm extremely grateful and thankful for. And I just want to say, before I wind up this interview with you, that I just, through you people, through the media, I just want to reach out to all my fans who've really, really been there for me. When an actor goes through really difficult times, when an actor goes through a dark time, when, you're seeing a lot of failure and you're on a low, a small message from a fan, somebody reaching out to you at Twitter, somebody just meeting you casually as you're transiting through an airport and telling you that they love you. It's the most incredible feeling, that unconditional love. It's the most precious thing in the world.
Aww. Nice. Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing that. We've had such a pleasure. Vivek, before you go, where can fans find you on Twitter? What is your Twitter handle?
It's Vivek_Oberoi. It's a verified account, so you'll have a little blue tick mark next to it. So that's me.
If I could ask one very, very fanny question, are they doing a sequel to Prince?
Actually, it's actually in the works, and I'm just waiting for the right script. Whenever they pop up with the right script, I'll jump right into it because I love that film and I really love that character. I love being a part of it. I thought it was so human and so flawed that it kind of really excited me.
And and you know what? He secretly asked you that because that was a personal question he wanted to know. So,
Parimal, you're going to be in the movie with me.
Okay, I'll be there with you. Yes.
Vivek, mere ko bhi role dena yaar. I need a little part in there too.
You're already a star. Look at you.
So you're already ahead of me. He's trying to help me out.
Well, Vivek, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We wish you continued success. We love you out here, and we look forward to more of your work as well.
Thank you so much for all that love, and thank you for being in my corner. Thank you to all the fans who are listening in right now, and a big fat thank you to my friend Neetu.
Yes, shout out to Neetu because she helped us get to you today. Thank you.
All right,
thank you.
Take care.
Guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye. You too.
Bye.
Exclusive brands like Westco Bankmart, Satin Ice, and Pastry Pride. One-on-one day seminars for cake decorating and gelatin art. So for our service, wide range of ingredients and supplies, and for the low prices, Baker's Bodega has it all. But you don't need to be an expert. Baker's Bodega, 7869 Paramount Boulevard in Pico Rivera. Come, we're waiting for you.
ProTech Carpet Tile and Care provides professional cleaning services for carpet, tile, grout, upholstery, and fine area rugs.
ProTech technicians are professionally trained and certified cleaning and restoration experts.
We specialize in restoring damage caused by heavy soil and odor.
We can remove challenging spots such as coffee, tea, ink, gum, wine, and many more.
We have saved our customers thousands of dollars on new flooring and furniture expenses with our advanced cleaning processes.
Call for a free estimate at 562-447-4300 and visit us on our website, www.myprotechsite.com.
Hey, this is Joe Perez, owner at ProTech. Just reminding you that ProTech Carpet and Tile Care is your professional choice.
The Share Foundation is the health division of the Koi Chiropractic Institute, a 501c3 509A2 public nonprofit organization dedicated to the growth and development of the natural health care services, in particular through the chiropractic profession, offering health services at the Share clinics in the greater Los Angeles area. Your donations can help in expanding these facilities across the nation, research programs, and public education, thus offering a solution to the many of the health challenges we face. Your donations are tax deductible and can be sent through our website at www.sharefoundation.com. That's www.cherfoundation.com by clicking on the donation button. Thank you.
And welcome back to TinselTown Talkies on the Rant Radio Network. I got the beautiful Rashi right next to me. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
And you got the dweeby wannabe Pimo right here. Hi, how are you? So, great interview with Vivek. I want to thank him
such
for
a pleasure talking to him.
Yes, I want to thank him for calling us in from Mumbai.
And shout out to Neetu Gupta again.
For helping us get him in to chat with us.
Yep.
And wanted to go forward now. We're going to talk about the whole Gap ad in a second. Just a quick news item, and this came out today, Rasha.
What is it? Breaking news?
Well, it's not breaking. It broke about 10 hours ago. Maybe a little longer than that. But I don't know if you heard the book, The Man Who Knew Infinity. It's actually based on
a mathematician
from India. And Dev Patel was cast to play the iconic genius. The new news, and this is from Variety, that Jeremy Irons is now going to co-star in the film. So, he's going to play the mathematician who had found the Indian guy who knew infinity. So
should be interesting.
Yeah, should be
interesting. Do you think they need a reporter role on there?
It wouldn't hurt to campaign
should
for
I
yourself.
audition?
You shouldn't audition. You should go in demand.
Should I go in demand?
Say, this is
Do you think I should wear the glasses for that role?
Oh,
or not?
yeah. I meant to compliment the glasses earlier. Finally, you're joining me with your headgear.
Thanks. Thank you. All right, so the Gap ad.
Yes, the Gap
I'm gonna
ad.
reach out to our friend Julio, and we've got a picture. This ad is called Make Love.
Mm-hmm.
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 Uh-huh. And
Well,
it is creating.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you what Gap explained about the title. So this is actually an official statement from Gap.
Okay, bring it on.
Make Love is about giving love through action, whether it's a service to others or a gift that's a representation of love.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, in this ad, it is featuring the jeweler Waris Ahluwalia.
mhm.
He is a very popular Sikh jeweler,
Mhm.
and Sikh man, I should actually say. And he's
Mhm.
actually with a filmmaker,
Mhm.
Quentin Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Julio, do we have a picture? We have a picture of this. If we could
Well,
bring that
as he's looking
picture
at
up.
the picture, did you know what happened today? It may actually be going on right now, for all we care. Apparently, there's a rally going on right now.
Yes.
Or today at some point.
Yes.
So there was this. Let's give you some backdrop. Of course, we talked about the ad, and we'll see the photo in a second. But there's a Sikh activist who is putting together a rally in front of a Gap store in Davis, California, just outside of Sacramento. I guess he calls this his advertorial a disrespectful piece of work to the Sikh community. What say you about that?
Well, do you want to expand on why they think
Well-
it's disrespectful? I don't think. Okay, I'll tell you my plans. I don't feel like this ad is disrespectful,
Mhm.
and I think that's because. And I know we haven't got the picture up there, but basically it's of a Sikh man with this model, and she's
Mhm.
kind of leaning on him, and he's got his shirt, it's unbuttoned in the front. When I here we go.
Yeah.
This ad, okay, when I first saw this ad, I couldn't stop staring at it. I was like, holy moly, oh my God. You were seeing this ad blasted everywhere on the print billboards. And how many times can you drive by and see a Sikh man for a print ad? So I thought this was fantastic. And the reason I think it's fantastic is because we already live in a world where there are so many misconceptions about what and who the Sikh community are. And I felt like this ad kind of helps break stereotypes because a lot of people do mistake Sikh people. And, the first thing is, oh my God, are you part of Bin Laden clan? Or
Yeah.
you're like, people just don't understand that. First of all, the turban is worn differently,
Mhm.
but just because you wear a turban does not mean that you are from that specific sector of the world.
Right.
The Sikh community is one of the most peace-loving communities and very religious communities.
Mhm.
So I personally do not see anything with this ad. I think it's beautiful. I think it's sexy, pleasant. Like there's just something very captivating about this ad, and it caught my eye.
Yeah. Now here's what the Sikh activist, and I want to get into the philosophy, the word activist at some point in this conversation. But here's what he said. His name is Gursant Singh. This is a highly sexualized ad. Anytime a woman has her hand on a man's shirt with her tousled hair, it screams of sex. He goes on to say that it's completely unacceptable for an unmarried woman to be touching a Sikh man in this way. I think he's kind of going a little too far with his interpretation. He's entitled to that philosophy, but I agree with you.
But he also continues to say that this isn't entirely acceptable because if Ahluwalia, who's a gentleman, the Sikh man, and Jones, the model in there, were portrayed as a married couple, it may have been okay. So I'm kind of confused on that because
it's
in the world of advertising and when we see ads, when we go to the stores, when we watch television, we're not seeing married couples.
And for the ads off the screen, but who's to say that they aren't being portrayed as a married couple? Right? I mean,
that's true. I mean, this is the one I saw at the Santa Monica.
How does the ad not reek of marriage? I mean, what do we walk around with scarlet letters that say we're married? I mean, I know we have rings and stuff, but in the ad, you're not going to meet. Like, what do they have to do in the ad to portray that they're married?
Right. I personally, again, I think it's such a huge movement for Gap because I've never seen in all these years a South Asian portrayed in a Gap ad. I don't even think we've seen a lot of. We haven't seen any South Asians portrayed.
Right.
So, and on top of that, to go with a Sikh person, I just think it's a great step up. I think you're helping break stereotypes, and you're helping just people kind of open up to what the Sikh community is and how beautiful.
It's definitely an awareness thing. I think it does more good than harm, way more good than harm.
I think it kind of shows Sikhs in the light of mainstream America, and it's almost kind of neat because it does so Sikh American men kind of in a sexy way.
Yeah, and if you're, I think you hit a great point about the mainstream aspect. In addition to being a sexy ad about a sexy man, it's also saying, hey, look, this guy is one of us. Mm-hmm. We're not saying a Gap customer is only white, only black. We have a Sikh man who comes to our store and buy our stuff. Right. He's one of us. And that raises the question about the term activist. And we lost an activist today in Nelson Mandela because he made the world better for people. Makes me wonder if this guy is he really making the world for Sikhs? Question this ad.
Well, I mean, we live in a democratic society, so I think everybody's entitled to their opinion.
All right.
And nowadays, I think anytime you stand up to put on a rally or you stand up for something, you're an activist. Mm-hmm. So, he's entitled to say what he wants, and he's got his own opinion. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't agree with him.
There was actually this is from a Facebook page. I guess they made a Facebook post about the Davis protest, and there was to the point that you and I were making. A person disagreed with the activist saying, "This ad is beautiful. It's a good-looking Punjabi Sikh man who has the affection of a good-looking woman. Why would you demoralize that?" And that's the question. Like you're right. It's on the one hand, it's everybody's entitled to have their own opinion, but what's the gain in challenging this? I guess that's where we have a hard time. Like, it's one thing to be entitled to your opinion, but then to agree with it, even say like, okay, I don't even see where he's coming from.
I don't know, but there is a rally going on about this, so we'll have to see what how that turned out.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess we'll report on the. It'd be nice to report on the rally when we come back next week.
Yes, and you know what? We only got a couple left, so I'd like to put up the poster of Doom 3.
Yes.
That is releasing in December. Mm-hmm. It's right before Christmas. Look at these hot bodies. You've got Katrina Kaif, Amir Khan, Abhishek Bachchan, and Uday Chopra.
Yeah.
And
they'll be posh this time, though, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I can't say it's like Fast and Furious. It's a long. I guess it's the Indian version. I don't know, but for those who are still new to the Bollywood realm, these are some of the hottest actors in Bollywood, especially Amir Khan, the guy with the hat in the middle. And it is definitely an action-packed film with some great Bollywood drama and songs.
If you want to give a film reference, this film is actually based upon the French film Taxi, which also inspired the American film Taxi with Queen Latifah in America.
Right.
So that's what, and it's also a little bit of, you see with this poster here, it's a little bit of biker boys action going on.
It is. It's about, they've got racing happening.
They have it. Well, if you watch
planes it's actually on the motorcycle, right?
The first one was all motorcycles, yes. And so there's a little bit of biker boys action going on here. So here's Uday Chopra.
This is Uday Chopra. He is actually apparently based out here in Los Angeles as well.
Yeah, we may have him come in the studio one of these days. We never know.
That would be great.
So we have to go watch the film. I know you've watched the first. I've watched the first two.
Yes.
I really want to see how this one comes out.
I want to see how it turns out because Amir Khan's in it, and he is just. I mean, I compare him to. I think he belongs in Hollywood.
He
personally,
does.
The way
He does.
Is. He's a very talented young guy.
does.
We just always have so much to talk about, so I guess we're going to have to save it for the next show
But
because we're running out of time.
Before we run out of time, let's make our Twitter drop.
Yes, you can find us on @TinselTown Talk or look us up on Facebook,
And like
TinselTown
us.
Talkies, and like us and share our link with your friends and keep tuning in every Thursday from 6:30 to 7:30 only on Rant Radio Network.
And thank you for joining in. We'll see you next week.
Ciao.
Peace.
I know there's something out there that's bothering you. You want to let people know about it. Just give us a call.
If what's bothering you is Mikey's accent, give us a call too.
That's right. I'll teach you how to speak Puerto Rican.
Do you know how to speak Puerto Rican?
Yo creo que sí.